Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to watch 90 Day Fiancé and react to it. Let's watch.
You play?
Yes, would you like to join me?
I try?
You'll need a pool stick.
Never put your drinks on a pool table like that. Not a good idea.
How would you feel about maybe staying if perhaps we could stay in the same room?
And we live with your parents.
Yeah. And no animals, nothing. You don't need to do anything.
And your mother...
So I don't remember that being part of the deal. All I remember, and maybe they made more of the deal, but all I remember was that she was allowed to sleep in his room. So is he just making this up? Is it hopeful thinking? Is it that he's mistaken? Did they have more conversations? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
What I need to?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And we stay same room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I not believe this has happened.
Okay, well, if I negotiated it, what do you think?
Short time. We short time try.
All right. I didn't think she'd go for it. I thought she would say, no, that's only one of 10 things that I can't stand about what our situation is like. But she's willing to give it a try, which, kudos to her for willing to give it a try. I'm guessing she's thinking, well, okay, let's see how this goes. If things are great, then great. But if it's more of the same attitudes from everyone, then, it's a little better given that we can sleep together, but overall it's a bad thing, and I'm going to lay down the ultimatum again. I don't know. We'll watch. Let's see.
Brandon tonight be man. I say him if he be man, won't stay with me, you won't marry me, him need talk with parents. Him do this, him fix problem. Him fix. Not what I want, but little fix.
All right, yeah. So kudos to Julia for saying it's not entirely what I want, but it's in the right direction, and I don't want to be a bummer on that. I want to be flexible, and so we're heading in the right direction. So, I'm willing to go along with that. So kudos to Julia for that.
Well, we're making progress, aren't we?
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
There we go.
But I think after the situation, she hate me. Yeah, ask your mother not start yell at you and not say, Julia, bad girl, and she take my son. She not say like this, no?
Right. So I think that has always been the primary concern, I think, for Julia, which is the emotional environment of the home. And so she's asking a question that's very intelligent of, I'm guessing that your mom said this and that. Let's see what he says. Let's see if he's truthful or not. Because I'm guessing he's not going to be truthful, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's going to tell the truth.
No, she didn't say you were a bad girl.
I worry about mother hate me. I worry about she try every day tell him like Julia bad, Julia not good for you, and try change his mind about me.
So I guess that was a political answer that he gave. It wasn't a lie. It was just kind of a spin of the truth, if you will. Because the mom didn't say, if I remember right, that Julia was a bad person. It was more that she was just disappointed that Julia was ripping her son. But she did ask, Julia, I think, did ask specifically, did she say I was taking her son away? So in that respect, because the mom did say that, and so in that respect, Brandon did omit the truth there, which is a lie.
I hope that the progress continues in the 90 days, that she can maybe develop a closer relationship with my parents and maybe want to do it.
Me and Julia had the exact same face when Brandon's like, maybe, they can have a better relationship. And I was like, huh? Yeah. A wonderful wish, Brandon. And of course you would want that because you love them both. And I think that's one of the things. So I just recorded a recap roundtable with Umberto and Taylor Nolan. I don't know if it's going to post after or before this episode, probably before, but I was talking with Alberto, and he was talking about how in his large family, he has people in his family that are extremely unreasonable, and he has to deal with them. And it would be tempting from the outside to say, well, just get rid of those people. Just reject. And it's tempting to say to Brandon, just move on, just move out. But the parents have a pretty interesting point of view on that whole thing and an emotional reactivity to that whole thing, in addition to other things like whether or not he's going to stay on the farm, whether or not they're sleeping in the same room. It's just a lot of ideas about how the world works. And it's easy for us from the outside to look at Brandon and just be like, just move on, be a man, don't be a mama's boy. But when you're in it, when you're in a family and you like to have those connections, and I think Brandon does, it's easy for us to say, why would you want a connection with those people? Well, they're not our parents. Those parents are not connected to us. We don't have any connection with those people. And then Taylor Nolan said, as an only child, she can relate to Brandon in that a lot of energy gets focused on that only child. It's the mother's only child, not the father's. And I think we all just need to consider that we can't pick our family members. Now, sometimes when it goes completely beyond the pale, then we will cut off from them because we're trying to salvage our lives. But short of that threshold, and everyone is able to determine that for themselves, and I think Brandon doesn't feel like he is beyond that threshold, then we're in a situation where we have to be diplomatic. And maybe we don't get everything we want because we're trying to retain that connection with people in our family. People that we don't agree with, but people that we like to be connected to. People that we agree with on some issues, but other issues we don't agree with. People that we like to hang out with most of the time, but not all the time. People that outsiders would say, why are you even involved with those people? And you would say, well, they're family. This is family. And I'll also point out that it's kind of a Western mainstream idea that when you're upset at family, you just get rid of them, that you just reject them and move on. Because that's at least one section of mainstream white America, if you will, that they will do that. Not all white Americans, hashtag not all white people. But a fair amount of mainstream Americans, anyway, they are pretty quick to cut themselves off from their parents, even when nothing's wrong with their parents. Even when there's nothing wrong in their families, there's just this style of complete independence. There's pros and cons to that, of course. And as a Japanese person, and Umberto being from Colombia, we can both attest to family means a lot. And the meaning of one's life is oriented often, at least in part, towards family harmony and connection with family. And we're not talking just parents. We're talking about aunts and uncles and siblings and nephews and nieces and grandparents. We're talking about the whole thing. And cousins, in Japanese life, you will have aunts and uncles and cousins that aren't really related to you. And so it's a big deal. And it's a big deal to me. I've shown you some of the pictures that are from my family on some of these videos. The reason why I have those pictures is because how dear my family is to me. I've spent my entire adult life investigating my family and my ancestry and scanning literally 50 to 100,000 photos. I one time did a whole count, and I one by one scanned on a flatbed scanner something like 70,000 photos, and it took me 5 to 7 years or something. Family is a big deal to me, and it's easy to look at Brandon and just be like, just get rid of your family, but that can be really hard for some people. Now, if Brandon looks white, I don't know how he identifies. So again, not all white people. Some white people come from traditions where there's a tremendous amount of family orientation. And so that whole discussion, I think I need to add in. Maybe y'all were thinking it, but I needed to add it into it.
One problem at a time.
So we
Never put your drink on the side of a pool table. We can all imagine what could happen, and it does. I mean, you put a teetery thing on a little thing, and then you're drinking, so, you're not, and then you have a big stick that you're weighing. It's just not a good combo.
sleep same room today.
We're gonna stay together and do maybe a little more than sleep.
What to do?
I was thinking maybe we could do some crossword puzzles.
Silly boy. Now I feel 90 days start because we start live for each other. And not mom, not father, only Brandon and me.
I think that's wishful thinking, Julia. I'm going to take a guess and say that everything will remain the same or at least slightly different, except for the fact that you're now sleeping in his bed at night. It sounded like you were able to have sex anyway, so it's not like that's necessarily changing. It just means that you're able to sleep in the same bed, fall asleep, and then wake up together. And that's a big deal, but I don't think it is going to solve the problem. I do not think that at all. Plus, it sounds like the parents are in kind of denial about the fact that they plan on moving out. Because when Brandon was saying, I want to move out, the parents are saying, but we thought she would fall in love with the farm. So they think if we can get her to stay a little longer, then she'll fall in love with the farm. I think that's really important. And, I think that episode was an hour long, so watch that one. You probably already have. But so when that day comes and they decide to move out, which we don't really know if that'll ever happen. I'm sure Julia will press for that at some point. Then I think we're right back to where we began. I don't think that this solves the problem at all. If anything, it just keeps things the same, which systems tend to do. If you didn't know, I'm on Cameo, which is fun. People will sign up there, and then I send them a message, and I might say happy birthday or happy anniversary or congratulations or maybe a little bit of a pep talk or something. And Valentine's Day is coming up, so maybe that's a thing. I find it hilarious that I'm even on Cameo. I remember when it first came out, I just thought, oh, that's really funny, like these D-level celebrities. And who knew that I would end up being on it. But everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.